It's that time of year again. It's January, which means it's time for a yearly recap video. If you are new to this channel, my name is MOGIBETH. I have been reselling full-time since November of 2018, which means I have just completed my 4th full year of reselling full-time, and I consider myself a reselling business owner that owns a 6-figure reselling business. And I get this question all the time: what does that mean? That means that I make at least 6 figures in sales within the calendar year. Today's video is one that I do every single year, so I'll post last year's video up on the screen. I am going to break down how much money I made in 2022 on Poshmark and eBay as a full-time reseller of women's clothing. Today I'm going to go over my stats for the year, including my total sales number, my gross profit, and more. And then I'm also going to talk about my top 10 thrifted sales from 2022. And then I'll briefly go over some goals that I have for 2023. Okay, so in 2019, my total sales were $61,218. And in 2020 is when I really started ramping up my business. I had an office space for all of that year. I hired on Tomas, who, if you want to meet them, I'll link our recent Thrift With Me video. So our sales went up to $143,426. And then in 2021, I really was focused on growing our business and growth. And that showed in my sales. My sales were $250,495.61. And I knew I didn't want to continue to grow at that rate. I was actually really happy with where I was. And so I went into 2022 this year focusing on just maintaining the status quo, because growing more would have meant processing more inventory and listing more inventory, which would have eventually meant hiring more people. And I just didn't want to deal with the headaches of growing. And so I was like, you know what, I'm really happy with where we're at here. And so that brings me to this past year, 2022. 2022 was a magical year for me personally because I gave birth to our baby girl, Billy Lou, and that happened in July. It's such an amazing year. It's my favorite year yet from a personal standpoint, but let's talk about reselling. All right, so my total sales number for 2022 was $212,058.51. And then my total gross profit, so that is after my cost of goods, my shipping costs, and my fees, was $122,590.74. That doesn't include, paying Tomas. It doesn't include paying my lease or my softwares that I use or anything like that. And I'm not going to disclose that number here today, but I just wanted to make a note of that so that you know. But in 2022, we sold 4,245 items. That's crazy. Our average sales price was $49.43. Our average gross profit per item was $28.59. Our average cost of goods was $8.60. We made sales on, I guess, technically 5 different platforms. So the first was Poshmark. I made $142,228.06 worth of sales on Poshmark. And then on eBay, I made $58,440.19 in sales. On Tradesy, I made $10,935.26. Rest in peace, Tradesy. And then on Mercari, $397, and then PayPal, $8. So definitely Poshmark is our #1 platform still, and it has been my entire reselling career, and it's definitely staying that way. However, I think the last half of 2022, we really did see a ramp up in eBay. So hopefully we'll continue that into 2023, which I'll talk a little bit more about later on in the video. Okay, so I actually am going to pop up a graph on the screen. These are our sales over time. And so first I'll show you broken down day by day. You can see we had a huge spike on my birthday when I ran a 50% off sale, and then actually another spike at the end of the year when I ran another 50% off sale. But generally it looks pretty steady here. But then if I pop up the graph broken down by months, it's a little bit more apparent that summer was definitely a dip in our business. And that's partially due to just the seasonality of the business, but really largely due to the fact that I took maternity leave in July and August because I gave birth. And so let's just briefly go over my best months and worst months. So my two best months were March. In March, we had $22,198.02 worth of sales, which was great. I was doing recap videos still at that point, so I'll go ahead and link up that March sales video in case you do want to check it out. And then also our best month was June, which was unexpected. It was not going to be our best month until I ran that 50% off sale, and that resulted in a $22,826.66 sales month, which was great. Anybody watching purchase anything during that sale or my more recent one during New Year's, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, so our worst month, because yeah, I needed those sales in June because going into July and August, it wasn't so great. So our worst month this year was July. We had $10,666.99 worth of sales. Again, this was the month that Billy Lou was born, and I barely worked. I listed in total 114 items in that whole month, so that definitely affected our sales. And then August really wasn't much better. We had $11,680.90 in sales, and those 2 months, luckily we did have some cash reserves from June and previous months, but those 2 months hit our business really hard. Our family does rely on reselling for income, and so, you know, taking maternity leave off is difficult because not only did my sales slow down significantly, but also we got hit with medical bills because giving birth is not cheap. And it just, you know, I did a video talking about the truth about reselling, which again, I'll link up on the screen shortly after I kind of came back to YouTube. And being self-employed definitely does have disadvantages, and one of them is that you don't get a paid maternity leave. You know, you just have to do your best to prepare for one, but it's still just going to be tough financially. So I am glad I took those months off to spend time with my newborn baby daughter, but it definitely did come at a cost. And I'll pop that graph up again of the months. As you can see, it took a while for us to ramp up, and we're still trying to ramp back up to where we were, because I do find that with reselling, if you take months off, if you take a significant amount of time off, you can't just jump back to where you were previously. It does take a while to build that momentum again. So on average, we made $17,671.54 in sales per month. That's pretty good. I think in my 2021 recap video, I said I was shooting for $20,000 sales months, and we were pretty close to that, except for, you know, having a few really bad months. And on average, I listed 325 items per month, which is definitely something I want to improve upon this year. But before we get into my goals for the year, let's discuss my top 10 sales for the year, and specifically my top 10 thrifted sales, because I did have some really expensive, high-priced liquidation sales, but since I'm changing my sourcing strategy entirely, or I already have changed it entirely, I no longer really do liquidation. I was just more interested in looking over my thrifted sales. So, okay, let's start. Okay, so number 10 was actually an eBay sale, and unfortunately with eBay sales I'm gonna have to show you what I can, because eBay only shows me my sales data up to 90 days ago, and so I think all of these are past 90 days. So I think with this one I can show you the Poshmark listing. So okay, number 10 was a pair of Ace and Jig Tommy sweatpant jogger plaid pants. I got these, I think, at Crossroads, which I'm counting as thrifting, which is a buy sell trade store here in Portland and there throughout some of the country. I listed these for $150, and then I received an offer for $120 plus $7.99 shipping, and I accepted that. And so that gave me a gross profit of $101.61, and it sold after only 5 days. So that was really awesome. I love selling Ace and Jig. I rarely come across it, but when I do, I snag it almost always, and it has done really well for me when I do find it. Okay, number 9 is another eBay sale. I don't know if I can even find any photo of this, unfortunately, but I did show myself finding this. I found it in Wichita, Kansas in a Thrift With Me, which I'll link up on the screen if I still can. And it was an Armani Collezione cutout back matte jersey dress. It was red, it was really pretty. I paid $7.99 for it at a just regular old Goodwill in Wichita, Kansas, where I'm from. And it sold for $135 plus $7.99 shipping, so $142.99 over on eBay, which gave me a gross profit of $96.93. It did take a little while to sell. It sold after 222 days, but still, I was really, really happy with that sale. Okay. Next, number 8 is, I think I also showed this in thrift haul, but I'm not gonna be able to remember which one. It was a Rag & Bone Riley check blazer, really pretty. I paid up for this at Goodwill. I paid $19.99 and it sold for $150, which gave me a gross profit of $98.29, and it sold after only 28 days. So I think that's a really good sale, great thrifted flip. Next, number 7 is another purchase from Crossroads, and it was these ash studded Trooper combat boots in a size 4.5. So it was a small boot, but it still sold really well and pretty quickly. My cost of goods in these was $18.75. I sold them for $150, which gave me a gross profit of $99.75, and they only took 39 days to sell. I think most of these items are going to be in different thrift hauls that I did, because there was a time period where I was doing a lot of thrift hauls, especially when I was pregnant. So number 6, I definitely had it in some thrift haul sometime in 2022, but it was this black halo Joaquin jumpsuit. And I spent $12.99, found it at Goodwill, sold for $153, which gave me a gross profit of $107.69, and it sold after only 18 days. So that is a really great flip. I really like selling black halo, and sometimes it takes a little while to sell. In this case it didn't, but it really does sell well. This was a size 2, sold on Poshmark, a really good find. Okay, number 5 is actually I found in the same thrift trip that I found my number 1 sale, and I actually did film this too, and it was a really good thrift trip. So I will link that up on the screen because I do remember it, and it actually makes me want to go back to this particular thrift store. Maybe I will this week and film it. Okay, I think I will. All right, so number 5 is Anthropologie Blank London Roxanne floral jacket. If you ever find this brand, it's BLNK. Definitely check comps because some pieces can sell for really good money. It's one of the better brands that Anthropologie carries, and I think I actually covered it a long time ago in an Anthropologie video, which I don't think I'm gonna have anymore. I can only link so many videos up on the screen, but if you are interested, just look for that video. Just type in MOGIBETH Anthropologie, it should come up. But anyway, this coat, I spent $12.99 on it. Came out in a new rack. I remember it vividly. And it sold for $175. And that gave me a gross profit of $125.29. And it took 4 days to sell. So that's really great. The next was actually on a Thrift With Me. I went to the bins with my mom, and I didn't actually find that much except for this coat, and I actually just kind of picked it up on a whim. I was like, oh yeah, I'll get it, but I didn't think it would do this well, but I was really happy with how it did. It was this Kate Spade Dorothy tweed coat, and it sold on eBay, but again, it was longer than 90 days. So it was a size 0. I spent $1.75 on it, and it sold for, on eBay including shipping, $178.74, which gave me a gross profit of $143.62, and it sold after only 6 days. So that was such a great flip and very just unexpected. Just goes to show, even on your worst trips, you can have one item that just does super well, and it makes it all worth it. Okay, so number 3 is proof in the pudding that evening wear or formal wear is a great pickup. I actually paid up significantly for this. I think I did have it in a Thrift With Me. I think all of these probably were in Thrift With Me at some point, but this was a La Femme trumpet gown, navy, and I paid $39.99 at Goodwill for this dress, but it sold for $190, which gave me a gross profit of $110.29, and it only took 45 days to sell. So that's great. I love La Femme. I went over it in my formal wear video. I talk about my formal wear video in almost every video. And it just, still none of y'all want to watch it, but it's a really one of my favorite categories. And so I do want to share the knowledge about it in case you're interested, because again, it is a category that I think is skipped over by a lot of people. Okay, number 2 was my best bins find of the year, and it was, I've talked about it on this channel before, this Doen Charleston dress. This was my first and only time finding Doen at all, and it was so excited to find it. My cost of goods on this was 85 cents. I listed for 250. It sold like within a couple hours for 250, and that gave me a gross profit of $197.43. And then my number 1 sale, it was from the thrift haul that I talked about earlier. Such a good, amazing find. Number 1 is this Fear of God, the denim deck coat long line jacket. I paid up for this, obviously $19.99 at Goodwill, but $19.99 for this coat or jacket that retailed for like over $1,600. I sold it for $525, which gave me a gross profit of $400.01, and it really didn't take that long to sell. It sold after only 64 days. So that was such an exciting find. My best thrift flip ever. Finding something at Goodwill for 20 bucks, flipping it for over $500. That's what makes reselling so addicting, because you never know what you're gonna find at Goodwill. Okay, so let's briefly go over my goals for 2023 reselling wise. So in the fall, we changed up our sourcing strategy. I talked about it in my video, I Can't Do This Anymore, where we just completely decided to change our business model, change our sourcing strategy, and instead of doing liquidation, we are now sourcing almost exclusively, but definitely primarily at the bins, at the Goodwill bins, just because, well, there are a lot of reasons, but one of them being that the bins are actually really great here in Portland, Oregon, and it's just such an amazing resource, and it's such a good competitive advantage to be so close to such great inventory for so cheap. So I wanted to take advantage of that. And I just love going to the bins also. But this means that our average sales price is going down and will continue to go down. Our average cost of goods similarly is going down, will continue to go down. And that means that I also need to source more inventory and list more inventory than I have been previously. So we've reworked our systems. We've cut out a lot of unnecessary steps in our listing, really trying to get it down to the bare bones so we can streamline and list as much as possible. So right now we're currently set up to list 25 items a day, Monday through Friday, which means we should be able to list 500 items each month. And that is really the goal. I would love to get to a place where we're doing 30 items a day, Monday through Friday, so we can list 600 per month, but really I'm just focused on 500 right now, at least for this month. If we can do 500 this month, maybe then we'll slowly increase up to 600. But yeah, that is my main goal, reselling goal, list 500 items a month. And it's been a while actually since I did that. I think I checked, and last time I did that was in January of 2021. I listed 557 items, and so that was 2 years ago. And so I am really going to have to hold myself to this, be really consistent, and make sure I'm hitting that target each and every month. My other main goal is to consistently cross-list to eBay and Mercari. I would really like to see more sales happening on those platforms, especially eBay. I really think I should be making more money over on eBay than I am, and eBay really feeds off consistency. And so if I could get consistent with eBay, I think I would really start to see results. But for now, all I am is just focused on increasing my number of listings, focusing really primarily and strictly on consistency, and then being sure to take time at the end of each month to evaluate and audit what is working and what is not within our business, so then I can make adjustments as I go. I think that's a really good idea to do, especially if you've recently changed your business model, because a lot of it is going to be trial and error. But overall, I'm a huge fan of being so much more process oriented rather than results oriented, and for most of the time focusing primarily and almost exclusively on what you do have control over, which is listings, and then at the end of the month you can focus on sales and how your sales are doing, and you can change up your strategy accordingly. My motto is do your best and let go of the rest, meaning do your best showing up every day to list, and then let go at least, day to day on how your sales are doing. And another quote that I like is from Bill Walsh, who is an NFL coach, and it is, "The score takes care of itself." So just really focusing on consistency, and then the score, your sales, will take care of themselves. But yeah, that is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, how was your 2022? Was it everything you wanted it to be? Was it more? Was it less? Let me know. And I would really love to read through the comments and hear what your goals are for 2023. I love goal setting. I love, words of the year, vision boards. I love all of it. So if you want to share that with me, I would be so happy to read through that. But if you like this video, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I am planning on showing up here 2 times a week. We are ramping back up after the holidays and COVID and everything that happened with us, but 2 times a week is our plan. So I will see y'all in the next one. Okay, love y'all. Bye.